So this is the self-development with tactics. Book. So this one's gonna be about sewage or sewage. I still don't know how I pronounce it actually. Wastewater and or desalination or desalination. All these great stuffs and or things, whatever. I see you after the intro. Wrong one. Yeah. I by the way hope that especially for those who are actually listening to the podcast, the fans in the background are not too loud. You know, I can't do anything against them. Unfortunately, at least not pretty much, which is a little bit fucked up because you can clearly hear them. At least I can clearly hear them. Hear them, which is not the best thing. Like, you know, it could be better, it could be worse. I care actually. I do not care. I do not care. I care about this. It's a little bit fucked up. It really is. But yeah. We are going ahead with the article from the ideas.ted.com website from the science section this time actually, as I was also surprised yesterday, just because I normally quite always go through articles from the We Humans section, which is basically like, yeah, about humans. And well, yeah. I think I'll just go ahead. I don't know where I've stopped yesterday. This is the only problem that I'm having, but I guess, yeah, I guess we actually stopped here yesterday. I guess so. What? Oh my god, I'm just reading something. And for all the people that are actually on the video, they might have seen it as well. For the podcast listeners, there is going to be something, well, not really funny, but yeah, there's going to be something in a few minutes. But yeah, so yesterday we've kind of been talking about, well, sewage water and how areas and or, well, counties, is it counties? It's definitely not a country, but, well, let's say districts like California actually have to desalinate or desalinate, I don't remember, the ocean water to actually have clean drinking water. You know, the whole problem there is that the desalination, or whatever it is called, it is actually desalination. Desalination, which means that you're basically kind of distilling water, or you have distilled water in the end. Yeah, it is just not really cheap. You know, it is pretty expensive, and it just involves a 7,000 horsepower machine. Still, I think, if I remember correctly, they can gather up to 200 million gallons a day, which is a lot. And, you know, as you might know, or as we all might know, the Earth consists of 97%, I guess it was, water, which is insane. The thing is, up to this point, we haven't somehow been just engaging with the water, or we haven't been using this water for different things, you know, besides actually fishing and those things, but these don't count now. But for example, Tel Aviv in, is it Israel? I think it should be Israel. I'm not quite sure, I guess. They've also been having such a desalination plant, as they call them. And I think they're living off of them, or off of it. And they've even been collaborating with California and or just the US now, so that they actually also have some plant like this, which is great, because I assume this is going to solve the problem of not having enough drinking water, which, as I was talking about or saying in the last episode as well, relatively often, something that I can't imagine, to be honest, because, you know, I'm basically living in the Alps, and I do just have my fucking clean, even the cleanest fucking water you can have here totally for free. I just, well, have to go to the tap and, well, open it. Do you open it? I don't think so, never mind. But you use it, let's say use it, and then you have clean fucking drinking water. Yeah, without any chemicals, without anything but water, which is amazing. And also kind of the minerals in there just are great, you know. You do not have to buy certain things. Everything is in the water what should be in the water, and nothing is in the water what should not be in the water. It's amazing. It really is amazing. I think I'll just go ahead with a little tiny bit above there or not. Well, yeah, I'm just going ahead. I'm really just going ahead. So accepting recycled wastewater is kind of like being asked to wear Hitler's sweater, says social psychologist Paul Rosen. The thing is, I'm always a little bit, I don't want to say skeptical. I don't know. Like, I think we're just in the US now, and this person, so Paul Rosen, I assume is also from the US. And like the Second World War and so on, well, it had a little bit of impact on the US, but it is something completely different in Europe. Therefore, saying something like this, I don't know if it is actually so severe as I'm thinking about it. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe I'm just kind of questioning some bullshit here. But, I don't know. Like, it's just clearly overdone example, I guess you can say. But yeah, it could actually be the case. So I don't know, the society there, it could actually really be the thing. Just because I think like, okay, recycled wastewater, so basically your shitty water or your shit water from your toilet, and then you drink it. Well, like, yeah, of course, it is not that easy, I guess, for those people that are actually trying to do this and that are trying to implement this into society. It really is not easy, I assume. But yeah. San Diego recently announced plans to produce 35% of its water from recycled sewage by 2030. Not just for irrigation, but for drinking. It has completed designs on a toilet-to-tap facility larger than Orange County's. Still, there are barriers to overcome, and the gross factor is first among them. Even the desperation of though can't eliminate the fact that drinking your own waste is nobody's first choice, unless you're a resident of the International Space Station. Do they? It is basically pretty interesting, to be honest, to actually see. And I've been watching a bunch of videos from different channels and whatever. There are just somehow a lot of cool videos and a lot of good videos. Of course, there's probably going to be some shit as well. But it is pretty interesting to see how they are actually living there. It is really interesting. Like, okay, they just eat somehow strange food. They drink water, which is actually amazing just because, well, they're actually drinking the water, and a percentage of the water is actually absorbed from the air that is inside the space station, if I know it correctly. And it, of course, has to be absorbed in some way because, well, there's a lot of electronics and there's a lot of things just sticking out of the walls. And it would not be great, if those just get electrocuted. Is it the right word? I don't know. The thing is, you just somehow have to, basically. But it is amazing how functional this whole mechanism and this whole kind of system there actually is. Yeah, it's really interesting, Maybe you just look up, for example, Chris, I don't remember, I think he was called Chris Hadfield or Hartfield. I think it was Hadfield. He has also written a book about not being feared. He's also a TED speaker. He's just an amazing person, He's also just a really likable person, He just really seems to be fucking kind, I'm just playing with my... You can see there it is more like orange in the camera, but it actually is pink, Actually, well, not as pink as my shirt is, but it is pink, It is a great ball, and I got it a little bit cheaper than normally. I think for $50, even though like it is insane for a fucking soccer ball paying $50, but I guess instead of 100 or something, just because it's like, it's not an original ball, I guess, but it is just, it has this texture on it, which means like, okay, you can shoot it better and it has better traction whatsoever. Yeah, seems to be better, and I think like it is better as far as I kind of just recognized it as well. But yeah, $100 for a fucking soccer ball is just insane, I don't know what the footballs actually cost. I guess they are not really cheaper. I really don't think so. But yeah, accepting recycled wastewater is kind of like being asked to wear Hitler's sweater, says Paul Rosen, a social psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania who has consulted water utilities on marketing toilet-to-tap programs to residents. No matter how many times you clean the sweater, you just can't take the Hitler out of it. I don't know, like, I'm just thinking about the real, sorry for not showing you, I just think about it as physically based, which means like, okay, if you actually have, wastewater, is it actually the case that you can't actually get the waste out of it just 100%, but 99.9999999 somewhat percent? Well, I don't know then. Like, of course, I just, would struggle with drinking it. Especially because I'm used to having, the best water there fucking is. But the thing is like, I don't know. I assume it is actually only 99.9% clean and not 100%. And I guess no water is actually 100% clean though. I don't know. Like, I actually think that a high percentage of the people that are actually watching, well, not watching, but listening to the podcast, at least as I see the analytics, are from California. And I think there's actually somehow 87 or 90% that is coming from the US, which is cool, which is great, Also the exact same thing on Instagram as well. I do just, I think, have, just more than a half of my followers are actually from the US, which I can somehow assume and understand. But it's nothing bad. It's pretty good, to be honest. Let's go on. But the purity you get from the RO, which is the return or reverse organic process, is quantifiable better than the water you get from conventional treatments. Better even than some bottled water. Well, so what flows from our membranes is the Rolls Royce of municipal water, says Desai or DC or Desai, whatever. So whereas tap water is often treated with chemical coagulants and chlorine. The whole chlorine, this really fucks with me. For example, when I'm in Italy, because you basically can't drink the, or at least not my people, but my parents always said that I should not drink the water from the tap there, in Italy, because it has such a high chlorine percentage in it. You can clearly just, first of all, just taste it, I guess, and you can also smell it. It is just present, you just notice it. But I don't know, if the people that are living there are actually consuming it. I don't know. I really don't. But so RO filtration is a mechanical filtration of water contaminants that cuts the need for those chemicals. It's analogous to the mechanical removal of weeds in the field practiced by organic farmers in lieu of chemical pesticides. Think of it as organic tap water, says Desai. For now, though, is focused on making membrane products for big industrial and municipal water systems. But it envisions, so the whole membranes they're talking about are basically those membranes that actually are used to create this RO, which is return or reverse organic process, which seems, as they have explained it in the last episode as well, it seems actually to be the exact same process that is actually happening in our body as well, only in the reverse order. So somehow we use it in a different way. Maybe we somehow get water out of, or actually we get something out of the water through filtering them, and they use it to just clean the water or something. I don't actually know, but it is something organical, and though, if I remember correctly, it's actually from a certain organization, or it is an organization, and they just produce those membranes. And you need those membranes to actually be able to do this RO thing, filtration thing. Yeah. For big industrial and municipal water systems, but it envisions microscale systems down the line. Bill Gates made a pitch for a similar approach when he blogged a few years back about watching a pile of human feces on a conveyor belt enter a small-scale waste treatment plant built to serve a community of a few thousand people in Senegal, and in minutes gets converted into water as good as any I've had out of a bottle. I would happily drink it every day. Well, I've actually been seeing some videos of Bill Gates as well, but it was more about toilets, if I remember correctly. It was really more like, okay, he's just, I do not want to say building, but he's just making some toilets that that do not create or do not just produce waste, if I remember correctly. It somehow just is gone now, or after you shit it there or whatever. I think somehow through bacteria or some other shit, it might also be the exact same thing as they are talking about, but I don't know. But we'll see ahead, and you can't see my microphone again. My digital microphone. Really, to be honest, it's actually a digital microphone somehow. So Desai predicts that water filtration technology will become decentralized everywhere. We'll control and regenerate our own water supplies farm by farm, neighborhood by neighborhood, or household by household. Eventually, the water production could become, like the food production, circular, a closed-loop system in which 100% of water that goes down commercial and residential drains is recycled. Whatever is lost in evaporation or leakage can be made up for with desalinated salt water that moves through shared networks. Although the vision is at least decades from becoming a reality, it may be necessary to our future, food security, and critical to our survival. I think more critical to our survival than anything else, just because, if we don't have any water, and it seems actually to be the case for certain areas like California, and I think, in general, desert, countries that are in the desert or in desert areas and whatsoever, it's gonna get hard, in the next few years, especially because, which was also something that I've been talking about yesterday, the temperature is gonna rise. And I'm not talking about fucking climate change or some shit like this, because I do not want to have a controversy on my fucking channel, nor on a podcast, therefore I'm not talking about it. Exact same thing as I was talking about yesterday, and now I also have to add, I'm also not going to talk about politics and also religion, because those three topics are so controversial and so unnecessary to actually talk about, because they're immediately going to create some tension, basically between me and you, between me and the potential community, and I do not want to have that. I want to have some friendly, well-being kind of thing here. I do not want to just debate or some shit like this, but something that is undebatable, or there is nothing to debate about, that is that it is getting hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. Everywhere, I guess. I think this is something you can clearly notice, whether this has something to do with climate change as such, as produced by our humans or by us actually, or not. I don't know. I do not want to say. It's getting warmer. The thing is, I guess the cities and or the countries that are actually in the desert are already struggling with having enough water. For example, I don't know the country or the city or whatever it was, but they've actually had, it was in Saudi Arabia, or Saudi Arabia, I don't know. They actually have enough fuel to boil the fucking water, because it is so cheap compared to, I think, the cost of the water itself. It is cheaper to just boil the water with the fuel they're having than actually, I think, buying it, I assume. I really don't know, but I assume, which is insane. The cost of water being so high that you actually can use some fossil fuels to fucking boil it, to boil actually some salt water, so that they actually have some distilled water. I don't know, it is fucked up. It really is fucked up. Maybe I'm just so, I don't know. Maybe I'm just so in such a good place here in Austria or here in Europe. I don't fucking know. I still think that there are just actually some countries in Europe as well where, the thing is, to be honest, I don't have to buy bottled water. I don't have to. I can drink the fucking water out of my fucking tub. I really don't have to, which is insanely good, because I'm basically basically just not having such high expenses because of that. Even though I wouldn't drink a lot of water, because I'm naturally not drinking a lot of water, which might be good, which might be bad, which is actually bad, to be honest. But let's go through the last few paragraphs, or last two paragraphs. At the end of my tour of the orange county plants, we arrive at a shining stainless steel sink where water that hours earlier had begun as raw sewage was now flowing crystal clear from the tub. Dissay filled up 2 Dixie cups to the future. He toasted, I shattered, scattered, scuttered, shuddered as I knocked mine back. But somehow the stuff tasted every bit as good as water that had bubbled up from a spring in the Alps. I poured myself a second cup. Well, yeah, amazing. And this is excerpted with permission from the new book, The Fate of Food, What We All Eat in a Bigger, Hotter, Smarter World, by Amanda Little, who is also the author of this certain article as well. Published by Harmony Books, an imprint of the Crown Publishing Group, a division of Penguin Random House LLC, from 2019. I'm sorry. And there, on the really bottom of every article, you can also find a TED Talk that is somehow correlated to what you can see here in the article. It is actually not the same. Well, it can have something to do with it, not necessarily. Somehow a little bit strange, to be honest, just because I always thought this is going to be just the TED Talk to the article, but it is not, unfortunately, because, it would be great. But I guess, often it is actually the case that there is no TED Talk to the exact article. As you can see there, this article is basically from the book from her, or that she has written, so therefore, well, yeah, of course, there's not going to be a TED Talk as well, at least not one that is just so correlated that I would just say, okay, it is somehow the same thing. But yeah, it seems to be the case that she has been talking for TED Talks, or has been having a TED Talk. Well, yeah, I assume it is a kind of similar thing, but yeah, let's actually see. So, about the author, let's actually go through this quite shortly. So, Amanda Little is a professor of journalism and writer in residence at Vanderbilt University. Her reporting on energy technology and the environment has taken her to ultra-deep oil rigs, down manholes and inside monsoon clouds. Little's work has appeared in publications ranging from the New York Times and the Washington Post to Wired, Rolling Stone and Bloomberg Businessweek. She is also the author of the book Power Trip, From Oil Wells to Solar Cells, or A Ride to the Renewable Future. Yeah, talking today is a little strange. It's not going as good as I actually wanted to be. But yeah, this is going to be the end of the episode, I guess. I hope that the next episode is going to be a little bit better. It is somehow strange because sometimes the episodes get a little bit worse because I can't talk, or somehow I just have difficulties with talking and just in general talking. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the language, but I seem to not be just talking well right now. I don't know why, but yeah. I wish you the best health, wealth, happiness, and also success. And I also hope that you're going to remind yourself on how you gonna be remembered, which means your legacy. Still, still we can't serve everyone. Not everyone's gonna like you, not everyone's gonna love me, not everyone's gonna love you. It is what it is. We can still try because we have our legacy in our control. But yeah, please stay kind and generous and be the nicest person you can ever be. But yeah, let's see you the next time. Hopefully.